Hello, hello, hello. It is time for another episode of the official Property Entrepreneur podcast. It's Tuesday. It's time for your weekly update. And today we're going to cover one of our exclusive, unique and proven property entrepreneur blueprints. I'm going to share with you in this podcast the winter hit list blueprint. So you've basically got two options in business. We're all busy. We've all got things going on. We all want to do deals. We want to do the sexy, fun stuff like sales, marketing, doing deals, etc., etc. The reality is there's other boring back office operational things that we need to do if we want to have a proper business and not just a self-employed job. There's a big difference between being self-employed and being an entrepreneur. And the big difference really is it a business or is it working twice as hard for half as much as a self-employed person running around doing everything? So you've got two options. Using the Property Entrepreneur Blueprint, using the Winter Hit List Blueprint, you've got two options. One is that you have a challenging 12 weeks each year during the winter. Right now, we're in the thick of it on Property Entrepreneur. A challenging 12 weeks, or you have a challenging 12 months. So either you do this for 12 weeks, roll your sleeves up, get your head down, get it done. It's challenging for 12 weeks and you have the benefit forever. Or you don't do it. You've then got a challenging 12 months ahead and everything is just going to become more and more painful, less lucrative, burn you out, get bored, and you'll be sacking it off, going on to the next thing, thinking it never worked. So short-term pain versus long-term gain. And as we're all aware, most entrepreneurs are in summon mode all the time. Grow, scale, always focused on the urgent, not the important. Deals. Oh, this stuff comes in. Do you know what? It's quicker if I just do it myself rather than systemizing, delegating. They're just burnt out. They're broke. They're making less. They're having less fun. And you're basically growing yourself bust. You're not building a proper business. The foundations are weak and it's not where you want to be. On the other side of the spectrum, you've got property entrepreneurs. So the people who use this blueprint, myself included, been using it for 20 years, teaching it for a decade. And what we do is we grow our businesses very aggressively for 3 to 6 months of the year, maybe double in size sometimes. Grow, look like a piece of elastic. Grow, stretch. Then we look at the damage, we see it's splitting, it's going to break. And then rather than keep doing it and eventually it breaks, we regroup, we repair it, and then we stretch again. And this is how businesses grow. They don't grow in a linear fashion. They grow in a cyclical fashion. They don't grow in a linear fashion. They grow in a cyclical nature, in cycles. Grow, regroup, repair, grow. That's how we do it. Much like you would if you're building muscle at the gym. If you're doing bodybuilding. Load. Rip your muscles. Deload, repair, refuel, and then you go again. You get to a point where overtraining and overgrowing is a complete false economy. And this is what we're going to cover. What is the secret to success here? What is the blueprint? And this is what we call the winter hit list. Personal update before we do. Had so many inquiries off of the 10 Layers of Wealth podcast that we did. If you've not already listened to that, go back and have a listen to it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be our highest downloaded, or at least one of our highest downloaded podcast episodes ever. And off the back of that, I'm thinking about putting a training on at the end of March to take people through the through the Financial Fortress blueprint that I've used to build my whole portfolio that I've been teaching the board on how to do. It will be high net worth individuals only. It'll only be for about maybe 10 or 12 people. But if you're remotely interested in that, drop me a message on social media. Winter hit list, which I'm going to share with you in this blueprint. We're absolutely flying through ours. So we're well into February now. We're approaching the last sort of 6 to 7 weeks of winter. And normally you would do this blueprint January. You can do it any time of the year, but we would normally do it January, February, March. That's the best time to do it. And we're rapidly approaching the end of the winter hit list now. If you didn't listen to the year of episode 126, you'll hear lots of what I'm personally doing this year. And some of those things include leveling up. So leveling up my profile, leveling up the podcast, leveling up our content. And we're just about to sign our new production contract, which will include taking all of the podcasts onto video. I've got a new podcast studio being built, so I'll be keeping you posted on that, but hopefully within the next 4 to 6 weeks we'll be going live on that, so that'll be very exciting. Mancourt House, which I shared with you previously, that's our 30,000 square foot office block that we're looking to build, a block of 88 apartments. We've actually, you may have seen this on my Instagram account, _propertyentrepreneur. We've actually had our first planning application, which was for about 30 apartments in airspace. We've had that rejected. So we're now looking at what alternative strategy we're going to do there. Bought some deals, just some little single lets. They're ticking along nicely in the background. Everyone else is running for the hills, but if you can buy cash or you can buy with a high enough yield, one of the ones we bought is over a 10% gross yield. You can still make deals work, and the only difference is that at least up until the last couple of weeks, there's nobody else running around trying to do those, or there's very, very few people running around trying to do those deals. That won't last forever. Get out there, do some deals, make hay while the sun shines. Got some other offers going in. We've got some companies under offer, so I'm brokering a couple of deals for people at the moment. One of those has gone under offer, and we're selling that for several £1 million. And then that's pretty much it, I think, for updates. Trying on a Rolex and potentially going to test drive a Maybach. If you've not listened to podcast episode 126, that might sound quite out of character, but if you listen to episode 126, my year of, it will explain to you what that is all about. So to the blueprint. My promise to you is if you put this blueprint into place, I absolutely guarantee that for the first time in your life, you will feel like you're building a proper business. You've got a team that are actually all banging the same drum. Your team will feel reassured. Your culture will be solid. The progress that you'll make will be fast-tracked. Like as an entrepreneur, this really is a sort of slow down to speed up, and it'll put you in the top 5% of property entrepreneurs who actually go out there. Like the companies that I work closely with, whether I'm investing in them, consulting on them, non-execs, I'm a non-exec on their board. We're not talking about the sex appeal of, how, like, not all, in fact, it's rare, more often than not talking about the product or service. The entrepreneur's skill is normally the product or service, whereas the back office is the business. And we want to make sure that this is a proper business. And only 5% of property entrepreneurs will actually get to that point where they've built a proper business for scale, service, sustainability, potentially even sale in the future. And that's because they've built a proper business, framework, structure, strategy, and they're building it for today, tomorrow, and the future. I've been teaching this for 10 years. I've been using it for 20 years. And every property entrepreneur that I've seen execute this to date has without a doubt had their best year on record. This will sound alien to you, but there's property entrepreneurs on the program that I've been working with for maybe 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, who have used this winter hit list blueprint and from 12 weeks of hard work have doubled the size of their company in less than 6 months. So, and that I'm not talking about going from one property to two. I'm talking about going from 100 units to 200 units. And they would do that in months, not years. Most businesses in the UK are doing in fact, in the UK, if you're doing 20% growth, that's considered to be aggressive growth. I'm talking about using this blueprint to achieve 100% growth in 3 to 6 months, like the piece of elastic. You couldn't do it without using this winter hit list. Your business would fall to pieces, you'd choke to death. But if you slow down to speed up, put this into place, the growth and the step changes you'll achieve means every year, not only will it be your best year on record, but I guarantee you'll look back on where you look at your business now and look back on where it was a year ago, and you just won't recognise it. Not only that, you'll probably be embarrassed by what you used to consider to be an acceptable standard of operation. This is a winter blueprint, so you want to use this, get set up for it in December, and then you want to use it in January, February, March. If you've not listened to podcast episode 87, where we talk about the game, that's the whole blueprint. That's the 12-month blueprint, and you'll see that the only game in town for winter is the winter hit list, and that's this blueprint. What you'll need is to build yourself a winter hit list. We use a blueprint and a framework and template that we have on Property Entrepreneur, which we give to all our property entrepreneurs. But you can recreate your own. You can build it from scratch. It won't take you long. And you'll need a WhatsApp group. And then probably like 2 90-minute primetime sessions to pull this together. So this is the winter hit list. It's 12 weeks. You do it every winter from January through to March, and it's basically working under the bonnet. So if you think about spring is about warming the tyres, summer's about foot to the floor, all guns blazing, full steam ahead. Autumn's about cruise control. Winter and strategy. Winter is pull it over to the hard shoulder. Don't race the car. Don't do the deals. Don't do the growth. Take the time to slow down, stop the car, lift the bonnet, and then fix the engine, change the fuel, rework the bodywear, give it a new lick of paint, whatever it is needed to go and race the race that you've got teed up for next year. So there's 6 steps to this blueprint, and it's the acronym systems. So what we're going to look at, for if you've got a pen and paper, is going to be, if you write down system, the 6 steps is strip out, your priority, select, timetable, explore, and then manage. These are the 6 steps. So I'm going to take you through this blueprint. This is the winter hit list, and this is how you get all of your operations, your systems, your back office, your admin, your finance done in 12 weeks so you can have an easy 12 months. So the first is to strip out. What we do is we get a spreadsheet and then we strip out all of the problems in our business. Brain dump, list. We need a new online checkout. We need to update everything from updating names on the website to putting in a whole new integrated management system. It's a ginormous to-do list. Most people think, I can probably get 20 or 30 things. It's not uncommon to have 100 or 200 items on your winter hit list. So the first is to strip it out. Get a ginormous list of all the things that need to be done, and you can collect that all year. The second, what we do then is prioritize. And what we use here is the RAG system, red, amber, green. Go through that whole list and say, right, red is business critical. This means if we don't fix this in the next 12 weeks, it's quite likely that the business will fail if we don't fix it. So business critical. Amber is genuine value adding, will take a step change, take us to the next level, and will add a huge amount of competitive advantage or value to the business. And then the third, green, is optional. It's nice to have, whatever it is. You might want to have, move from a filtered water machine in the office to a water filtered tap. Nice to have, be a nice little cool thing. The world really isn't going to change if you don't get around to it. And the likelihood is, if your list is 200 points long, you will not get through the yellows and the greens. You'll do all the reds, some of the yellows, and then you'll have plenty left for next time around the track. So the first is to strip out and make that list. The second is to put your priority with them. Red, amber, green, which way you're going to do, which way you're going to go. Then we start with the reds and then we number them. So let's say there's 25 reds. Number them 1 to 25 in order of the priority, as in which ones you need to start getting on with first. And then order them. So then just using your spreadsheet, order them. So they're in numerical order. That will say which order to approach them in. And then the third step, and this is where you might think that most entrepreneurs think, I don't really like systems, I don't like operations, I don't like back offices, or most dynamos and blaze frequencies would. What we're talking about here is you can achieve all of this by just being a great director or being a great project manager. I don't personally do any of the winner hit list anymore, or in fact that's not true. I will do some of it, but it's managed by other senior team members who then delegate it to their team. And it's basically a project management exercise where your team can do it. So the third step is select. Who is the person that's best placed in your team, in your network, in your suppliers list to do this for you. So if it's you need a new website, it's unlikely you're going to spend your own time doing it. You would then select the design company you want to use for that. If, for example, you think, I need a new sales page, rather than think, I need to learn how to use Kajabi or learn how to use Stripe, you find a supplier to do it for you. Bookkeepers, designers, PAs, VAs, EAs. Select anybody that can do it to do it, with you being the last choice, not the first. And then that will tell you what order you're going to do the tasks in, who's going to do them, and then what we're going to do is we're going to schedule it out. If you're listening to this and you're thinking about getting a team member on board, a business partner, a life partner, share this podcast with them to explain to them, this is how you get all that stuff done. We consolidate it down, 12 weeks, head down, get it done, and then forget about it for a year. Every business needs this, and it's best to get your team on board. So feel free to share this podcast with them. Step 4 is once we've selected who's going to do it, we then timetable it out. This is basically using a model like a Gantt chart. So looking at the list on the spreadsheet and then timetable over 12 weeks what's going to be done when. And say, for example, you might have a website. You might say, right, we need to instruct the company at the beginning, but then they might not be in touch with you and you need to give them a brief, but then they might not come back to you for 2 or 3 weeks. This is where project management really comes into its own. And you want to make sure you're ahead of the game. So it's scheduling out, timetabling out what to do and when to do it. And this is an art form in itself. And if you've got someone in your business that is a great project manager, great at organising things, perhaps a tempo or a trader profile in that sort of project management, timing, customer service space, get them to give you a hand with this if it sounds daunting. But you want to plan out those 12 weeks. And we actually run it for 16 weeks, but the 12 months of winter is heads down, and then the 4 weeks of spring is onboarding, ironing out the creases, trial and testing, getting things going. So timetable it out and say, right, this is it. And when you get to real advanced level, like we've been doing this and teaching it for 10 years, is we will have all that done normally by end of December. And then for January, 1st of January, bang, ready to go. 12 weeks, head down, systems, operations, rebranding, scheduling the year, operations, processes, manuals, methodologies, assets, performance dashboards, etc., etc. Timetable it all out. And then once it's timetable out, then it's like, bang, right, now it's time to go. And what you do there is you want to become highly lucrative and highly leveraged with this. So you get your team to go, and step 5 is to explore. Get your team to go and explore the options, explore the solutions, draft out suggested processes, methodologies. Get them to do the heavy lifting of going and looking at it and then bringing you either 1, 2 or 3 suggestions for you to then rubber stamp. So if you think about the task triangle, can't remember what episode that is, go back and listen to it. You want to be doing the high value top of the task triangle, and that's it. Everything else is delegated. So get the team to explore it, bring it to you, you make the decision. And it's like, right, bang, that is the system we're going for. That is the platform we're going for. That is the new sales process we're going to use, whatever it is. Agree what it's going to be, and then go into management mode. And this is where you really want to step up as a leader, a manager, a project manager. And then the final step is to manage. Manage your team. And this is using SCS. I'll do a podcast on it at some point. But SCS is your management framework, the best management framework I've ever seen, I've ever used. SCS, S is set up, C is check-in, S is sign off. Set up your team at the beginning of the week, check in on a Wednesday, and sign off at the end. And you do that over the 12-week period. What you'll find is however big your team and your third parties are, maybe it's 3 people, maybe it's 30 people, maybe it's 100 people. But when for 12 weeks you're all locked into a single project and you're at the top signing things off, rubber stamping, driving the team, banging the drum, leading the way, managing, using your SCS. What you'll find is within that 12 weeks, all of this work and activity will be done, and then you can put it to bed. At the end of winter, you put it to bed, into spring, new systems live, new marketing live, new brand live, new website live, new processes live, new team onboarded, and the game will fundamentally change for you. So this is the winter hit list blueprint, and you put that into place, and I guarantee if you have a hard 12 weeks working under the bonnet, you will have an easy 12 months scaling. And if you look at the companies that we've built, like PPN UK, for 5 years, that was 5 years back to back, that was in the top 2% of fast growth companies in the UK. The only way you can achieve that, 8 years it was top 2%, 5 years it doubled in size. Now, a first double's easy, a 2 to a 4's easy, but 4 to an 8 is a bit harder. An 8 to a 16 is more challenging. A 32 to a 64 is almost impossible unless you use this sort of structure. And we were talking about, I think Multi-Let UK at one point went from 400 to 800 units in a year. You can only do that using this blueprint. So this is the difference between building a business and running around like a overworked, underpaid, self-employed landlord. If you've not, I'll tell you another top tip as well. If you've not already listened to the 5 Levels of Leadership podcast, go back and have a listen to that, because this is what you'll use to move through the levels. Initially, the first time you do it, you might be on the coal face, rolling your sleeves up, doing it yourself. But as you move through the years, as you move through the levels, you'll become highly lucrative, highly leveraged, and it'll enable you to go to the next level. A few top tips to finish. The first is you can only fix the roof when it's raining. And what I mean by that is you can only see that the roof's broken when the rain's coming in, when the water's pouring on your head. And the reality is we do this work in the winter, but you'll probably find all the breaking points in the summer. So let's say you run a lettings business or student HMO portfolio, whatever it is. The summer, the days are longer, activity's higher. In the property market, most sectors are booming during the summer. It's during that time that you see the cracks appearing, you see the problems. You can only fix the roof when it's raining. You want to actually consolidate those points during the year. So we have a WhatsApp group called the Winter Hit List, and what we do there is we record all year. When we see a problem, just put it in the WhatsApp group. And not only does that record it, fix the roof when it's raining, we can see where it's broken, record it. It also gives the team a huge sense of confidence that, yes, we're not going to deal with it now because we're focused on sales and marketing and growth and expansion and deals. But when we get to December and January, this will be our core focus. We'll fix it for you. We'll make life a lot better. The second is just starting to move to the mindset. I've talked about this previously. It's not, you look at this list of 200 things, you think, wow, when am I going to get this done? The reality is you want to move up, you want to level up that mindset and just think it's not when am I going to do this, or even what. It's not when am I going to do it or what am I going to do first, or even how. It's not even how on earth am I going to solve this. It's not when, it's not how, it's not what, it's who. It's like, what's the problem and who is going to fix it? As long as you lead them, as long as you recruit them effectively, as long as you choose the right person, you brief them, you manage them. This is a who exercise, not a how exercise. So not when, how or what, but who is going to do it. And then finally, if you want to become, especially in property investment, refurbs, development, if you want to build businesses, developments, whatever it is you're going to do, project management is a real skill that most entrepreneurs lack. If you can develop the skill of being a world-class project manager using the Winter Hit List and Gantt charts and accountability and SES management, you will become highly valuable and highly leveraged. Your growth is only ever limited by the amount of people that you can delegate to. And when you start to understand how boards of directors work, and then senior management teams, and then department managers, and the difference between a cog and spoke model and a siloed approach, when you can have people initially in teams and then in businesses, or then in offices, then in different businesses around the country and around the world, all singing to the same hymn sheet using these blueprints, the achievement, the growth, and the results and the achievement you can get is absolutely endless. So I hope you enjoyed that. This is the Winter Hit List Blueprint. It is 12 weeks of hard work to guarantee you can get 12 months of step changes and game-changing results. If you enjoyed this episode, want to make sure you don't miss out on a single other blueprint, every Tuesday, tune in. I'm trying to give you as much value as you can. Looking forward to taking this on to video, stepping up in the new studio and giving you as much support, direction, as many of these blueprints as we can. And as ever, follow me on Instagram, propertyentrepreneur_, and Facebook, Dan Hill, for free content, deals, hacks, and blueprints. But until the next one, success and failure are very predictable. This blueprint will fundamentally change your life and your business. And I wish you the best putting it into practice. And I will see you on the next episode.